First of all, thank you all so much for being here. I know it's been a long day for everyone, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I'm really excited to see all of you here and to see your interest in learning more about the 2024 Participate Learning Teacher of the Year Awards. Just really quickly, I'm going to go over the agenda for tonight and what we'll cover. And then I'm going to hand it off to our awesome panelists who are our 2023 Teacher of the Year winners. So the purpose of this session is so you can hear from our fabulous 2023 winners, and I'll introduce them shortly. They're going to share why they decided to submit for the awards last year, a bit about the process, and then some tips that they have for you to create a standout application. I'm going to walk you all through the requirements, everything from first just applying and going through the process to just have access to the application. And then I'm going to go through the application as well. And we're also here to answer any questions you might have. So I'll pause for questions along the way, and we'll also open it up for a Q&A session at the end of this information session. And we just want you all to feel excited as we are. This is my second year being a part of this, and it's a really exciting time. And we just want to celebrate you all and for all the hard work that you do. Awesome. Okay, it looks like we have a quorum here. Yes, and my colleague Michelle is here as well, who you all know. And so I'll be leading this, but she might pipe in with her knowledge because she's been doing this a little bit longer than I have. Okay, so I want to introduce our fabulous 2023 Teacher of the Year Award winners from last year. So I'm going to let them mostly introduce themselves, but we have Anna, Cecilia, and Paula, and they are our winners from last year. They're very active, so you might have seen them on social media and different presentations that we do. If you're a first year ambassador teacher, you would have seen them at fall orientation. It looks like we have a hand raised. Oh no, was that a hi emoji? Okay. And so we are so excited that they're here. They're going to give us their advice. They're all awesome ambassador teachers and Participate Learning Partner teachers. And yeah, I am going to hand it over to them to introduce themselves. They're going to tell you just briefly their home country, how many years they've been in the program, where they teach, and the subjects they teach. And then I also would love for y'all to answer why you decided to enter these awards last year. So anyone can kick it off, either Anna, Paula, or Ceci, whoever wants to go first.
I can be first. Okay, my name is Cecilia Camarero. I'm originally from Argentina, and this is my third year teaching with Participate Learning at Legan Middle School, and I teach Spanish in Wake County. And I decided to submit the application because when I applied in 2019, I used to see like all those faces, all those pictures with Participate Learning Teacher of the Year awards and things like that. And I was thinking like, well, that one day that could be me. Yes, it was something that I always dreamt of. And even though my first experience in my first year, I did not win, which like it's okay. Yeah. I submitted the second time, and I'm glad to be here sharing my experience with you. So
Thank you, Ceci. Yeah, Paula,
I can go next. I am Paola Weyman. I am a Connexiones teacher at the International School at Gregory in Wilmington, North Carolina. This is my third year. I'm finishing my third year, and I'm originally also from Argentina. And I decided to apply for Participate Learning Teacher of the Year award. In the first year, I didn't win the first year. I received a special nomination for my incredible efforts that I did. And I decided to participate in the first year because I like doing courses, and I have done almost all the courses in participate.com. And when I saw Teacher of the Year, it's like, I'm going to find out what this course is about. And it's like, okay, I'm going to try to do it. And I did it. And it was a lot of work. And that year, I received this special nomination. And the following year, it's like, no, I'm not going to do all this again. It's like a lot of work, but I have the photos of all the things that I've done. I have videos of all the things that I've done. But no, I am not going to present because it was like in April, I was exhausted. And that's when I was nominated by different people, and they told me, you need to present again for Teacher of the Year. So that was, again, my second year when I decided to do it.
Hey everyone, I'm Ana Herrera, and this is my 5th year as a Participate Learning Ambassador. And I've been in Bethany Elementary in Rockingham County. And I've been the kindergarten, the 2nd grade, and currently the 4th grade Spanish teacher. And I decided to apply kind of for the same reasons, you know, like Ceci said, I used to see the people there and I was like, oh, I want to be one of those. And then I did the same thing. Like I applied the first year and I got I didn't get it, but I got it as a finalist. And then on the next year, I got nominated by somebody and said, okay, let's try again. Let's do it. And I got a finalist again. So the third time I said, okay, this is the one, you know, and I also received nominations. So I tried again and here we are.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. Yeah, a quick note, as Michelle pointed out in the chat, it just so happens that our 3 winners last year were ambassador teachers, but any partner teacher is welcome to apply. And as Michelle mentioned, we have one of those teachers, Kate Strine, who is one of our awesome Global Leaders teachers, received an honorable mention last year as well. So shout out to her. And also I just want to point out, I really appreciate you all sharing about how you might have applied in the past and you didn't win, but like that's okay. We're even just applying on its own takes effort. You'll receive a candidate badge. You'll also receive you'll also create for yourself a great portfolio that you can use for the future. So you should feel really accomplished even just for applying, if after this session, you are eligible. So shout out to everyone just for applying and for sharing with us. Okay, so I'm going to go to the second question I have for all of you, which is just, and I know some of you maybe touched on this, but I just want to ask again, what tips or advice would you give to someone if they are trying to create an amazing application? And one more thing I want to mention, I'm going to go over the application process after this panel that we have for the rest of the session, but I just want to point out that the application is a little different than last year. Last year it was, we had a few more steps, and this year we have condensed it. So just know that when they are talking, it might not be the same process. But so if anyone wants to kick it off, the question again is, what tips or advice would you give to someone if they are trying to create an amazing application?
I can start. What I suggest is always like providing examples of documentation that you have, pictures, as Paula was saying, pictures, videos, everything, support everything you say with things like examples or pictures that you have from your experience in the classroom with your kids, with your students. All the amazing things. I'm sure you're all doing great things in your classroom. So have pictures of that, and with all the things that you say, try to provide examples. And also what helped me, the first year I did it with Google Slides. For example, we had to create a portfolio. It might be a little different this year. I still don't know, but in case you have to do that, the first year I did it with Google Slides, and the second year I used Canva, which it's really user-friendly. So it gave me the possibility of including videos and things like that. So I found it really helpful. And last thing is, don't be shy to talk about yourselves and say good things about you. You're awesome. So just say it. I know that we are not used to doing that, because when I found myself like providing examples and doing and writing everything, I said, oh my gosh, am I saying this about me? It's like I didn't feel like kind of comfortable. But you just believe in yourself, believe that you can win, believe you're amazing, and you're here for a reason, right? So just don't be shy about doing that.
I agree completely with what Ceci was saying. Evidence. During the first 2 years, I've been taking photos of my kids and all the things that I was doing. Even when I attended virtual meetings or anything that I do, I take pictures, video, and I have evidence of that. And when I was doing my portfolio, I put that. The activities that I did with my students, I also showed them how I was relating the activities to the global competencies. Like I did this because my students are developing curiosity, they are developing communication skills. So I relate all the activities to the global competencies. And in my portfolio, I show that I was not only a teacher inside the school, that I was an ambassador of my country. What I was doing outside the classroom, what I was doing for the community, what I was doing for other ambassador teachers. Now I love using X or Twitter because I have learned a lot about Twitter and a lot about other teachers because of Twitter. And I love sharing what I do because I know that some other teachers get inspired because of that. So I think that it's important to show how you are, how or what you do that makes you a wonderful ambassador, not only a teacher. What are you doing apart from the things that you do inside your classroom? How are you working for your community and for the school? And we are educating global leaders, but are you a global leader? How are you a global leader? How do you set as an example yourself? It's like, if we are educating global leaders, I am completely convinced that we have to be global leaders and predict with our samples. So I think that you have to be global leaders and show that not only to participate learning or to the teachers that are going to participate, but for everybody. You have to be a global leader for everybody, I think.
Yes, I think those are wonderful advice. I also felt like at the beginning, it was weird for me to give the kids, like leave them do something and then start taking pictures. That might feel weird, but it's a really good evidence that you have. And that also gives you the tools to reflect on what you're doing after. So any connections that you can do with, yes, the global competencies and the sustainable development goals. And if you show like you're not, like they said, you're not just the Spanish teacher or you're not just the fourth grade teacher, but you're educating for all the kids in the school. So yes, showing all the connections that you make with the community and inviting others into your classrooms and opening the doors to the world, that gives you a lot of elements that you can put into this application. And also, well, yeah, like Ceci said, don't sell yourself short because you are doing amazing things. And even if you think it's not enough, it is. Like every tiny piece counts. So just try to show like as much as you're doing, even if if it's not your regular self. Like I said, you are doing amazing things and you want the other people to see it as well.
Yeah, that's great advice from all of you. Please brag about yourselves. Tell us about you. Don't be shy. This is the time to, let it all out. That's what these awards are for, to recognize all of you and all of the amazing work that you're doing.
Leanna, for question number 2, do you mind if I chime in on something that I think
course.
it was Paula that mentioned social media? And I would love to just make this point so it doesn't slip out of my mind earlier. One of the questions that we've received in the past about these awards has been, do I have to be actively sharing about my efforts on social media to be able to be eligible to be a winner? Does that help me stand out? Other questions we fielded have said, well, I feel like people who are sharing on social media have a better chance of winning than me because I don't share on social media. So obviously anyone who's sharing on social media is going to include that type of evidence in their applications. But what I can say is that if you are highlighting all of your efforts and all of the ways that these ladies just talked about and really showing what a rock star you are, that is going to come out in your application through any video clips, photos, or anything else that you share. When our panel of judges assesses the applications, we do not use what we know about you from social media or from visiting your classroom or from hearing from a program manager if you're in a DL program or from your strategy coach if you're in global leaders. The only things that we are evaluating for these awards are what you share in that application. And so Anna, I hope you don't mind if I use you as an example. Anna shared openly that she submitted for these awards. She applied to these awards 3 times. And what I will tell you about Anna is that we knew Anna was a rock star from the moment she started at Bethany and from the moment she came into this program. When Anna applied the first year, we knew she was a rock star. The program manager at her school raved about her all the time, and the same in her second year. But what that program manager knew about Anna in the classroom was not reflected in her application. And so when we reviewed her application, we weren't able to think about all the things that we knew about her from social media, all the things that her program manager told her. We could only evaluate what she showed us in that global portfolio. So the third time she entered, her global portfolio reflected everything that we knew was true about who she was as a global educator. And that's what caused her to win in year 3. And so that's important for you to keep in mind. You are not at a disadvantage if you are not using Twitter or Instagram. You're not at a disadvantage if you are not in a DL program or you're not in global leaders, you're just a regular ambassador teacher. You're not at a disadvantage if you are a US partner teacher. You are all on the same playing field, and we evaluate what you put in front of us through this application process. And so I hope that's helpful. I thought it was really important to share that at that stage, just so you have that as you go through and hear the rest of what these ladies have to share today, and then what Juliana will share about the process this year. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, my next question I have for the panelist is to tell us a little bit about the day you were surprised with the news that you were one of the 2023 Participate Learning Teacher of the Year winners. Where did the surprise take place and who was there? And if Ceci's gonna go first, I just have to add this in. So Ceci is a teacher at Ligon Middle School in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that's where I went to middle school. And I got to be there for her surprise, and it was really fun for me because I had not been back there since middle school. So I just couldn't help but tell everyone there that day how cool it was. Anyways, not to take away, Ceci, go.
Yes, it was so much fun. It was amazing. All my family knew. I don't know how they kept the secret because they knew like 2 weeks before they surprised me. And it was an invented EOG meeting by my principal. And he gathered all the school together in the media center. Carolina Ceballos, she is an Argentinian, another ambassador teacher from Argentina, and she's in the school with me. She planned everything. She told my husband. My 12-year-old son Luca, he kept the secret. I remember I bought a keyboard for an iPad that I got from the county. So I bought it in Amazon and it was about to arrive. And my husband was like, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Why are you buying it? You're gonna need a computer. But anyways, we were in the media center and everything was like so weird because my husband works in the afternoon, but that day he said, stay in the school, you have this meeting, it's really important. And I was like, okay, you asked for permission, your job, and well, okay. And they started coming out of this little room. I saw Michelle, I saw Juliana, Mr. Freebird, Mr. Young. So it was like a lot of people coming out, some friends as well. The the world language senior administrator from Wake County was there as well. Friends and my son, my daughter, and my husband. And when I saw them, I was like, I couldn't help crying. I was so like crying because I was so happy, and it was like it was something for the four of us. I didn't feel it was just me, but it was like all the hard work that we as a team have been doing since we applied to be here. So it was like I can't describe it. I was so rewarding. So I really appreciate what you did for me on that day.
In my case, it was a presentation for the whole families and the whole school. I had organized Feria de los ODS. It was in a long hallway. All my students were going to present to the families and to the whole school. I was really nervous that day because all the students, I had to organize my group of students, and all the students of the schools were going to come and listen to my kids speaking in Spanish about the SDGs. And families were also coming. So I was like trying to organize everything. And suddenly I heard the principal from the other part of the hallway saying something. And it's like, why is this lady speaking so loud? There were so many people there. I was so confused. And suddenly I saw Freebird coming. That was the first person. He was really at the back of the hallway. And there is like, I started crying. It was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like so many things that day. I was already nervous because of the presentation of my students, and family were there. And then when I saw Freebird, I saw Michelle, I saw Juliana, the principal was there, the coach, Spanish coach was there, my son was there. My son is an elementary student and he was in the middle school. He was like, I was shocked. I was really shocked. And I cried, and it was an amazing day. It's a day that I will never forget. And then the kids came and started clapping, and I tried to listen to what Michelle was saying, but I was in a complete shock. I was happy. It was an amazing day. Yes, it was incredible.
Okay, well, in my case, my school has a third grade talent show, and they do it every year. So this was the day of the talent show, and I took my kids there and I sat down, and the whole school was there, the parents were there, and the curtains were closed. And then the principal, he said like, okay, we're going to start our event, like get ready, blah, blah, blah. And they pulled the curtains, they opened the curtains, and I saw like there was the whole setup, the participate learning table, and Michelle and Juliana, and my husband was there, and I had no clue why he knew, but he was there. And the beginning teachers coordinator, and there was so many people, and I was just like, is this for real? I couldn't believe that this was happening. And all the kids started clapping, and they were like, come here. It's like, okay, like, let's go into the stage. And yeah, like, I was so excited. I think it happened the same thing. Like, I was trying to pay attention, but it was so many things that, yeah, I almost started crying. And then like I know I was super red. I was absolutely not expecting this at all. And then the principal said like, oh, and guess what? Tomorrow's her birthday. So everybody's saying happy birthday to me. So the whole school singing happy birthday, and I had all these mixed feelings. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, we were just so happy to be there for all of you and to surprise all of you. And to be a little part of that celebration for all of you. And yeah, we think we caught you all. We got all of you pretty good. And shout out to Anna, who it was not only her birthday then, but she also won Teacher of the Year, I believe at her school that same week. So it was a really fun week for her. But I appreciate you all sharing and being so expressive and open about what it meant to you. So I'm going to ask you kind of a two-part question next. You kind of shared already how it felt to win, but if you could maybe share a little more about what this award has meant to you, and then what has been the biggest perk or benefit of winning the award. So what has the award meant to you, and what has been the biggest perk or benefit of winning the award last year?
Well, for me, I would say that being able to represent participant learning in some occasions, in many occasions, in fact, is like really rewarding for me. Apart from, of course, you get a computer and you get the money also to spend on things you would like to buy or things for you. So for me, that was like the most incredible experience, like the biggest perk to be able to participate. Yes, to share my experience and to represent participant learning and be able to go to different conferences as well. So that's awesome, like growing as a professional, right?
This year, at the very beginning of the year, our principal gave us this book, 212. The Extra Degree is the name. And it talks about doing the extra efforts, the extra thing to make you better. And when I was reading the book, I realized that was what I did during the whole year. And that's why I think I was one of the winners, because it was something extra that I was doing, that I was always doing. And I didn't do it because of the school, because of participate learning. I did because I was also winning. I think that it was like a win-win situation for everybody. I was going to win something, participate learning was going to win, and the school was going to win, but I was giving like my extra degree. It's like, why are you getting up 15 minutes earlier to do a participate learning course? Or why are you doing this extra thing? And then when I was reading the book, it's like, yeah, it's an extra degree that you work for, that you are going to have like a reward because of that. So the day I received the prize, I was like, yeah, it's worth it. It was worth that extra degree. And what I love most about this recognition is the people that I got to know in the different conferences that I attended. I went to many conferences where I got to know teachers from North Carolina, not only ambassador teachers, but teachers from North Carolina. When we had the opportunity of talking in front of all the teachers that came this year, we had to speak with Ceci and Anna in front of 400 new teachers. And I also went to Kentucky with Teachers of the Year from the USA. It's like, wow, I'm getting to know all these incredible people. I even had the possibility of having a meeting with the governor of North Carolina. So it's getting to know all those people thanks to this award was amazing.
I agree. It's so, I mean, it always feels good when somebody recognizes all the work that you put into something, right? And well, I mean, if you guys are here, if you came from a different part of the world, you already know that you're doing so many things, right? Or if you are a teacher that's here in the States, you also know that you're trying to give your best to your students, right? And it's encouraging when somebody else is recognizing all those things that you do. So getting this is like a mention, like, oh, yes, I got it, and nobody's gonna take it away. right? So yes, this is like a very good opportunity for you to also see that your work doesn't go unnoticed. And yes, like representing participate learning in different conferences and in different events and things like that, it's great. People come talk to you and they know that you know what you're talking about, and they have questions, and you can guide people and you can share your experiences, and all those things are very rewarding for you.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I appreciate all of your advice and your sage words, and your inspiration for everyone else. Okay, so my last question for all of our panelists, is there anything else you would like to share with today's attendees? So it's optional if you feel like you've said everything, but if there's just one more thing you really want to get out there, now would be your chance.
I do have something I forgot to say. And it happened to me when I first saw the application. Well, Juliana, you mentioned that it's shorter this year, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, like this is everything that I have to do. So take your time to do it, and maybe just look at it on the first day and start gathering all the information and start writing what you have to write, and then like leave it there and go back to it after when you're like refreshed, so that you can like give your best into the application.
Yeah, that's great advice, Anna. And I'll go through the application in a minute. But like she said, I mean, you guys we're early in the process. The application is due March 31st, so end of the month. So you have lots of time right now to plan and work on it, and not feel overwhelmed by it. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. They're going to stay on, and I'm going to open it up for questions at the end of the session. And if you have anything that you're really just dying to get out there before then, please just pop it in the chat as well. But we will have a time for Q&A at the end of this. Michelle, is there anything else you want to add before I go over the awards process and application process?
No, I don't think so. I might have some things at the end after we go over it. If things pop up that I think would be great to just reiterate, or from my past experience that I think would be helpful. But yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I am going to share my screen. Let's see. So everyone should be seeing the awards page right now. Yes, okay. And I will also just pop, unless pop the link in there as well if anyone wants to follow along. So I am just going to go over in this next section, I'm going to go over the awards website page, and then I'm also going to go over the next step, which is the interest and nomination form, and then finally go through the application and the course to apply. And like I said, I won't be able to see you as well, but just pop questions in the chat and I will also give some pauses as well. Okay, so this is our Teacher of the Year awards page. It has kind of all the details that you need to know to figure out the requirements, the eligibility. So I'll just briefly go through it now. So as we've said before, these are open to all Participate Learning partner teachers. So whether you're an ambassador teacher or if you are a US teacher in a school that implements our Global Leaders Framework or a dual language program, then you are eligible to apply. That is the first step. So I'm going to skip down for a second, just to go over the eligibility requirements. And then I'll go over some more general things as well about the application. So all applicants must be a member of at least one Participate Learning community of practice. That's our technology program. It's where you earn your credentials. You take courses, you see all of our announcements. If you're an ambassador teacher, you must be an active 1st to 5th term ambassador teacher during the current school year. You also must be in good standing as a J1 visa holder with Participate Learning. And if it's not your final year, then you must be planning to renew your teaching commitment for the next school year, so the 2024-25 school year. If you are a US partner teacher, it's some of the same requirements, obviously not all of them. So we want you to be a member of at least one Participate Learning community of practice, whether that's global leaders or a dual language community. You must currently teach in a partner school that implements one of our programs. You have to have a minimum of 3 years of teaching experience in K through 12 classrooms. And you also must intend to renew your teaching commitment at your current school for the next school year, so 2024-25, and you also must be in good standing at your school district. I'm just gonna pop over to the chat here real quick. So one of the questions is do you need to enroll in the online courses? So you do need to be a member of one of our community of practice. Yes, so that is one of the eligibility requirements, as Michelle just mentioned.
I think it's important to note that if you're talking about courses in general, like lots of people, Paula on this call, for example, has I maybe over like, I don't know how many 100 badges now. I think she's getting close to 200 credentials in her credentials collection. We are not the winners. We're not looking at the number of credentials you have. However, an applicant who has completed a lot of credentials is able to share that in their portfolio if they wish to do so, to highlight some of the learning that they've done in the way, because learning is one of the categories, as you'll learn more about when Juliana goes into the application. So they're allowed to highlight that, but we're not taking that. We're not looking at that and being like, oh, this person has this many credentials, so they're going to win. That is not, we're looking at the overall portfolio that you create. However, it is important to know that you do have to be a member of one of these communities of practice, as Juliana said, and as is on the page, and to note that the application is actually in the form of a course. And so it's not like you're learning something while you're doing it, but all of the directions are in the course, and the places where you upload your submission, the parts of your submission are via a course. So you do have to enroll in the Participate Learning Teacher of the Year Awards course that Juliana has sent you if you've already filled out the interest form, or that you will fill out after this evening if you're interested in proceeding.
Thanks, Michelle. And Gabby has a question too about the application. Gabby, I'm going to get to that when I go over the application. So just know that I have seen your question. I haven't forgotten about it. Okay, so next I want to go over the timeline really quickly. So just so you all know when everything needs to be in. Obviously, applications are open now. They will close on Sunday, March 31st. So at the last day of March is when applications will close. Then finalists will be notified on or before Friday, April 12th, 2024. And then once those finalists are notified, they'll have about 2 weeks to do their finalist course submissions, which is going to be, they will receive an email, and then we will give them the next steps, which will be recording a video to some questions that we have for them, and they will respond to those questions, and that will be through a different course in the community of practice. After that, the award winner celebrations will take place after Monday, May 13th, 2024. And we do keep those a surprise, as you can tell, as well, as we've already discussed. So yeah, so we don't have an exact date for those, but they will hopefully happen in May, in the later half of May.
Can I chime in with a timeline tip from previous years? And so that is related to the application's close date. So I do want to be very clear about this. We have had many times during our different years of doing the awards, people reach out after the deadline to say, oh, well, I was working on my awards application, but then I had spring break, and so I was away traveling, or my principal didn't give me the recommendation letter in time, so can I submit it late? There's a reason why we keep the applications open for as long as we do. The applications opened on February 27th, and it does not end until the end of March. So there's like a month there for you to plan accordingly for getting that letter from your principal or assistant principal, that recommendation letter, and also for you to work on your application around your spring break. So please know that because this is an awards like program and people are competing to be winners in this, we do not pause the award system to grant extensions. There are no exceptions to that rule. So use the month to plan accordingly. And my best piece of advice, and someone gave it earlier, was about going and reading through the application and planning accordingly when you're going to do what you're going to do. And Juliana will probably say this later. If you think you're going to apply, fill out the interest form this week and put in the request to your principal or assistant principal to get that letter, and follow up with your principal or assistant principal well in advance, because you need to have that letter uploaded as part of your application. And you don't want them not giving you that letter to be the one reason why you can't apply. So just to be very clear about that, it is a competition. So the deadline is sturdy.
Yeah, that's great advice. Give yourself lots of time to get everything in, and to get your recommendation letter, which I will go over in the course. So really quickly, I want to go over the prizes. So this is the awards package, and the kind of some of the benefits and perks you get from receiving, from becoming a winner of this award. So we will have 3 winners, and then we will also have 4 honorable mentions as well in the 4 categories that we are asking you to talk about, which is connections, cultural experiences, leadership, and learning. So our 3 winners will get $1,000 check, and we really want to stress this is for your personal use. Use it for yourself. Don't use it on your classroom. Don't use it for your schoolwork. Use it for yourself. You'll get a new Apple laptop, and you'll get a commemorative frame certificate. And then, as our last year's winners have spoken about, you'll get a lot of great opportunities to do some of these things. So engage in professional development, present at conferences and participate learning events. And other events, you might receive sponsorships for those. And you also just get to share your experiences with other members of the Participate Learning Network, as we are doing right here tonight. So yeah, it's really exciting. Okay, so I'm going to go over basically how to apply. So the first step is going to be to submit the interest and nomination form. So you'll find that at the bottom of this website where it says apply or nominate here. And you're going to click on this button right here. I just want to make sure everyone has time to see it. So once you get to the awards page, after you've read through all of the requirements, the awards overview, eligibility, all of that, and you decide you want to apply, you're going to have to fill out this form. So when you click this button, it's going to take you to this form right here, which is the interest and nomination form. It's pretty easy to fill out, but this is a step that you will have to take before you can get access to the course, because that's something I'm going to email you individually. So you will need to fill this out. Also, if you want to nominate someone, so if you have a colleague, a Participate Learning colleague, if you are an administrator on this call, we encourage you to nominate someone. So I'm just going to go through how to do this. So you're either going to say you're interested in applying. So I assume most of you on this call would be in that category, or in nominating a teacher. So I'm just going to pull up, for the sake of this info session, I'm going to pull up as if you are applying. And I just have kind of a little bit of a special access to this form, so I don't have to type in everything. But if you are applying, this is what you're going to see, and you're going to have to fill out all of these questions. So we want your first and last name. We want your email address, and I want to stress that we want your personal email address. So not your school email address, but the personal email address that you already use with Participate Learning. If you have
The exception to that will be, I just want to make this note. I know we're looking at it as if you're maybe an ambassador teacher, but if you are a U.S. partner teacher, you can use your school email address because that's the email address we have on file for you. So basically, you're using the email address that we use to communicate with you. And for ambassador teachers, that's your personal one.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks, Michelle. So basically the email address that you use with Participate Learning. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to ask is if you have a Twitter or Instagram handle. And if you don't have one, you can just write NA. As we said, it's not a requirement to apply for this. Your home country, your school name, the district that you teach in, your grade level, the subjects you teach, and then you're going to click one of these three categories. So you're going to say that you're a current Participate Learning Ambassador teacher in a school that does implement a global leaders or a dual language program. The second option is that you are a current Participate Learning Ambassador teacher, but your school does not implement the global leaders framework or a dual language program. And then the last option is if you are a U.S. partner teacher, so you're not an ambassador teacher, but you teach at a school that implements either the global leaders framework or our dual language program. Yes, I see we have a raised hand. If you want to unmute yourself, you can ask a question.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Georgia, and I'm from the city of Danville. So quick question, I just want to find out, because my principal was the one that nominated me, so I am new to this form and everything. So I am clueless because I did not want to let her down. But am I supposed to fill out this form? Or she already filled it out? I'm not sure.
Yes, so that's a great question. So some of you might be here because you were nominated by someone at your school, a colleague, a principal, an assistant principal. So everyone has to fill out this form to apply, even if you were nominated. So you still need to fill out this form because they only nominated you. That doesn't, necessarily mean that you have the application. So you're going to need to fill out this form so I can then send you the application.
Right.
Does that
So
make sense?
if your principal nominated you, the first email that you would have received from Juliana, or if you're a newer nominee, the first email that you will receive from Juliana will congratulate you on being nominated. And the email will encourage you to go fill out the interest form. Because your principal nominated you, you get to make a decision about whether you want to apply or not. And we need to know that you're interested in applying. So when you receive emails throughout this process, make sure that you read them carefully so that you're able to follow each step in the process and you don't miss anything. But yes, that link will be in the email that you received from Juliana to direct you to fill out that form first.
Yes. Okay, and so then you're going to fill out one of these three questions and then tell us how long you've been part of the Participate Learning network, and then you're going to click the button to submit the form. So once you submit the form, I will then, after a few days, I will send you an email and it's going to have a link to the application course, and I'm going to pull that up now. Okay, so this is what the course looks like. So these are all of the things you're going to have to fill out to apply to be a candidate for the Teacher of the Year Awards. So the first thing is just an awards overview. So some of that we've already gone over, some of that will be on the awards page, but I really encourage you to read this in detail because it's everything that you need to know before you get started. So like we said, they're open to all ambassador teachers and partner teachers. And this is what we're asking you to share about this year, which is just part of being a member of the Participate Learning Network. So we're going to ask you to share about the connections you've made with your students, colleagues at your school, your community, fellow members of the Participate Learning Network, and beyond. And I want to just point out for a second that all of the things in this application, we're going to give you examples and ideas and like the general idea of what we want you to share, but we're not limiting you to anything. The things that we put in here are suggestions. And so don't feel like you just have to do the things we suggest. We're really trying to keep it open. This is your application. This is going to be your portfolio. So don't feel limited by the things that we're suggesting here. So it's going to be reflecting on your connections, the cultural experiences that you provide for your students, school and community, by sharing your own culture, or sharing about cultures represented around the world, as well as US and global cultural experiences that you embrace for your own personal and professional growth. And we want you to share about leadership roles, so that you serve on in your own grade level or team within your school, within the Participate Learning Network, and in your community. And to answer a question that was asked earlier, these are just some examples. So you can go beyond this if you feel like this is not fully expressing your leadership roles. If you feel like this isn't encapsulating everything, you can share beyond these examples. And then finally, we want you to share about learning. So professional development opportunities that advance your own learning, as well as global and language learning experiences that you provide for your students. And then we want you to remember throughout your application to also highlight examples of these things that we've listed. So how you embody the global competencies, how you impact students, colleagues, your community, the people in the Participate Learning Network, and more. And then if you are in a dual language program, how you are implementing the dual language teaching practices in accordance with your school. Okay, I'm going to keep going so we can get through this overview, and then we'll open it up for questions. So we have more eligibility, which I've already gone over, the timeline here, the awards package. So once you read through all of this, you can either click on the next chapter, or you can just click on the next section, which is section 2. So either one will work. So this is going over everything that you're going to need to submit. And we've tried to break this up for you so you don't feel really overwhelmed. As Anna mentioned earlier, it might feel like a lot, but we've made this so you can work on one section and then save it and come back to it. So we've tried to really break it up for you so it feels more doable. And so these are all the things that you're going to have to fill out to complete this course and submit to be a candidate. You'll need to give us some general information, your recommendation letter, and a global educator portfolio that includes the 4 sections that I've just talked about, and I'll go over that in more detail when I get to that section. Okay, so this is talking more about your portfolio here. So we want you to make sure that you read all of this before you start working on everything. And these are the things that we're going to be looking for in your application. But like I said, it's not confined just to these. We're trying to give you an idea of what we're looking for, but you can go beyond this. If you have questions at any time after this during the process, feel free to reach out to me and email me. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to ask for is section 3, general information. This is a really easy part. We're just asking for a headshot and a few simple things about you. And so I'm gonna give the headshots that our 3 winners gave us last year. And we want something from the shoulders up, so just something that we can use. We are asking for a headshot from everyone because we will put together something from all the candidates who have entered. And then general information. So just
Juliana, can I make a comment here with the headshot? Please, or when you submit the headshot, that it is very clear, that it is not blurry. These are going to be used on social media if you become, well, for all candidates, but then also if you become a finalist and you become a winner, these are the photos that will be used for you. So just make sure if you do not have a headshot that's, useful for this, get someone to take one using your cell phone and upload it. These things, if you'll get feedback from Juliana, if it is not very clear, and she'll ask you to upload another one, and that could delay your process. So I just want to make sure we highlight that as well.
Thank you. Okay, so then we're going to ask for your personal email address and, like we said, a clear headshot. And then you'll just say save and finish there, and then you will go to the next chapter. So the next part is your recommendation letter. Okay, so I want to make it really clear. We want you to ask for this with a lot of time in advance to give your principal or assistant principal time to write this for you. So if you're asking for this like the Wednesday before March 31st, then you might not get it in time. And like Michelle has mentioned, we don't give extensions for this. So please, if you're thinking about entering, you could go ahead and ask for the recommendation letter now. So all of the requirements are listed here. And here I'll go over some of them right now, but you'll need to read all of this. So it has to be written by your principal or assistant principal. It can't be anyone else. It can't be like your team leader or something like that. It has to be one of those two people. It has to include their signature. It has to be typed on school letterhead, and then please make sure that they refer to Participate Learning, which is the name of our education company, and not Participate, which is the technology company that does the platform that we're on right now. So we're Participate Learning. We know that's confusing for some people, but that is what we are called. We want them to talk a little bit about how you demonstrate a passion for sharing global perspectives and a dedication to our shared mission of uniting our world, and just generally share about why they think you should be named a 2024 Participate Learning Teacher of the Year. And then also, this is important, this needs to be emailed to you so that you can upload it below. And if you're a little overwhelmed by this process, we've actually given you an email template here to ask for all of these things. So you can actually just copy and paste this to ask your principal or assistant principal to send this to you. And remember that it has to be submitted by Sunday, March 31st. So once you get this, you're gonna go here and just drag the file in right here and then say save and finish. And I know we're at about time. If some of you have to get off right at 6:30, this is being recorded. I know Michelle's being great in answering some questions in the chat. So just leave a question in the chat if you have to go, but this is being recorded and we will send this recording out. I just want to get through this application to make sure that everyone knows what they have to submit, and then we'll open it up for questions. Okay, so this is kind of the main chunk of your application, which is your Global Educator Portfolio. And so in here, I just wanted to highlight that this can be any format you want. So we've given some examples. It could be a slideshow on Google Slides or another tech tool. It could be a video compilation. It could be a Google or Word doc, but it can really be or a visual presentation created on any site or with any tech tool. So we're leaving this up to you. We're not trying to limit you. However you want to express your portfolio, do it in the way that feels good to you. So it's a way for you to really kind of get excited, get creative, get innovative, and have fun, and just show us what an amazing educator you are. So we've given you examples. These are things that people have used in the past, but don't feel limited to that. But these are the things that you must include. So the 4 categories that I've talked about, connections, cultural experiences, leadership, and learning. And we've tried to give you some really good examples here of things that you can submit in your portfolio. But once again, we want to stress that these are not, you don't have to be limited by this. Please do this in the format that works for you, and provide any examples that you want. This is your time to really brag about yourself and your work. Something that I want to highlight, when you are submitting these, so one more thing that I want to highlight is that we want you to highlight these different things. So an emphasis on the importance of learning about and appreciating different cultures, the positive impact you and your students have, how you integrate and model the global competencies, how you might integrate the UN Sustainable Development Goals, current events, and other global issues in the global look and feel of your classroom. One thing that we want to highlight is if you're sharing any sort of Google Doc with us or anything that needs to be accessed, please make sure that it's accessible to everyone. So for instance, if you have a Google Sheet or a Google Doc and you're sharing the link, when you go into those files, you want to make sure that the link is shared with anyone can view. So if you just like share it with me or Michelle, we have other people who are reviewing these. We won't be able to look at what you're doing. So just make sure that your permissions are open and access is granted to anyone, because it would delay your application otherwise if we can't access it. So
And
once
in
you,
addition to delaying it, if the reviewers do not have access to it, they are not waiting to review your content. If there's something they can't access, they will not be able to take it into consideration when evaluating your application. So please make sure that you check those and make sure that they're available for everyone. The other one thing I'll say, and Juliana, you may have this on your plans to clarify, so I'm sorry if I'm jumping in, but just when you look at those 4 categories, whatever format that you're using, you need to make sure that you have headers or intro slides or something that label each of those 4 categories. So you need to have a section that is all about connections, and that's where you tell us and highlight all your connections. Then another section about cultural experiences where you focus on that, and so on for the other categories as well. So those need to be very clear and visible for the judges.
yes, thank you for highlighting that. Okay, so when you're ready to submit, you're just gonna go to click here and you're gonna upload your file in whatever format it's in and then click save and finish. And so, like I said, I just wanna highlight again that like you can submit these in any way. So if you wanna upload your recommendation letter first and your general info, which is pretty easy. It's just a few questions in your headshot. You can do that first and save it and you can come back to this. But once you are done uploading your global educator portfolio, you're going to go to the very last part of the course where we're just going to ask you to reflect a little bit about the process. So you're going to click here and you're going to answer this one question. You're going to save and finish. And then this is really important. You have to submit the entire application for review. So this button is grayed out for me right now because I haven't submitted everything, but this will be blue once you have filled out all of these things, and you have to click submit work for review. So if you, even if you've, done chapters 1 through 5, you can't, this will not be submitted until you click submit work for review. So make sure you do that. And then you will be done and you'll be entered, and make sure you submit by March 31st and hopefully before then. I know we've had a lot of questions in the chat. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Before you go to the thank you and good luck section and to just show them what that is and talk about the final submit button. I do have 2 questions here, if you don't mind me reading them from the chat and just elaborating on them a little bit.
Yes.
The one here is about when Alexander asked these 2 questions actually. When it says connections, does it mean to be need to be global focused? For example, my class read to a 1st grade class. However, this is not a global focus, but a great connection. The important thing to keep in mind when you read the directions for the global portfolio, you're going to see that this is focused on being a global educator. So you are more than welcome to put other examples in there, but what's going to get you the credit with the judges are the examples of being a global educator. This is not just a regular Teacher of the Year award where you're showing us about your connections. You want to focus on connections, cultural experiences, leadership, and learning that are around like you becoming this amazing global educator. So the things that you're doing in that area. When you go to the portfolio page and it has all the descriptions about what makes a great portfolio, Juliana just highlighted that a little bit. It's really, you're focusing on the emphasis of global learning, of our shared mission of uniting our world through global learning. So reading to a 1st grade class, I agree, that is a wonderful connection. It's building community in your school. But you need to be highlighting the things that make you a global educator who is uniting the world through global learning. The other question that Alexander had was about impact. When you say impact, what do you mean? So when you think about impact, you're thinking about the impact you have in all of these areas. How are you impacting your students? What's happening in your classroom that you know you're having an effect on your students? That they're becoming global leaders, they are becoming global citizens, they care about their community, they're learning about the world. How are you having an impact on your colleagues and your school? Are you teaching them more about other cultures? Are you able to help them grow professionally because you're able to share talents and ideas that you've brought from your own country and that you're learning from them? How are you having an impact on your community through the connections you make and through the way that you are engaging in your community? So impact is about how you're making a difference and how you're seeing that reflected in many different ways. So I hope that answers the question. The next one says the timeline mentions finalist course submissions due April 21st. What kind of course do we need to submit when we become the finalist? Juliana, it just responded to that. That is not going to be accessible to anybody yet. You will receive access to that if and when you become a finalist. And that's where we'll give you access to another little mini course. And by mini course, we just mean that is the place where the directions for your finalist submission will be given. And that will be a video where you answer some questions that we have set out for you. And there will be a time limit to that video as well. But all of those directions will be provided when that time comes.
Does anyone have any other questions? This is your time to ask, whether you want to put it in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask. We're happy to answer them. Don't be shy. And if you can't think of something right now, but you think of something tonight at like 2 in the morning, feel free to email me as well. You should have access to my email, but I'll pop it in the chat.
And Juliana, maybe as everybody has a think time to see if if they do have a question that comes to mind, maybe we should show the section 6. Just there's an important bit of information.
I did. Yeah, I showed it.
Oh,
yeah.
You went through the final submit button?
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry, I must have been answering a question for
somebody.
I would just reiterate that again, that's another important piece of the puzzle, that if people email us on April 1st or April 4th and say, I forgot to click the final submit button and here's my application, please know that we cannot consider your application, that it needs to be, that button needs to be clicked, which means that all of that information needs to be uploaded. I apologize. I was like typing away.
That's okay. Yeah. I tried to really stress it, but it's good that you're saying it again because, yep, don't do all that work and then not click final submit. Does anyone else have questions?
Tim, I love your comment. So exciting to formally document. You'll see that the winners from last year are nodding their heads. I know, Juliana referenced it earlier, but sometimes people say, oh, I'd love to apply. My principal nominated me, but it seems like a lot of work. And my best advice to you there would be exactly what Tim and what these ladies have shared with you today is embrace this moment. Take a moment to reflect on all the amazing things that you've done, and you will not feel like this is wasted time. Even if you don't win, this is a part of this is a piece of evidence that you can take and use on a future job application that you can put in your portfolio of who you are as a rock star educator. It is a wonderful opportunity to highlight that. And I think as educators, we don't take enough time to reflect on our amazingness. And somebody said earlier, don't be shy. Ceci said, don't be shy about recognizing all the great things that you've done. And sometimes that's hard for people, but you're doing incredible things, and the ability that you have to inspire others, like Paula said earlier, with what you are doing is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Pablo, I'll cry looking at all my work. Yes. Will.
Yeah, I mean, yes, thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. If you think of other questions, please feel free to email me. We thank you for taking the time to come. I will send out this recording to everyone. In that recording, I will also send you a link to get a credential for attending a virtual session if you were one of the attendees, and I'll send out the presenter link as well to our 2023 winners. But thank you just so much for being here. We're really excited for you all to apply. And please reach out to me with any questions at all. No question is too small. But thanks, everyone.
And thanks to our wonderful our guests.
Hey, thank you to Anna and Paula and Ceci. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experiences and being so open. We really appreciate you.
Night, everybody.
Bye.